Hi guys, it's Jamie here from Jamie and his Whiskey. I hope you're all doing well. I'm back again for another whiskey review today, and I'm going to be looking at the Glengoyne 12-year-old. Now, I reviewed the 10-year-old back in my 8th review, back in last August, and I don't know if you remember, but I liked that whiskey a lot. Since trying the 10, I've bought myself a few more bottles of the 10, and I've found it to be a really consistent, enjoyable, very well priced 10-year-old whiskey. So this is the 10, and this is the 12, which I'm going to be reviewing for you today. So it's in a nice red package as opposed to an orange one, and this is the bottle. Recently rebranded. Now, how different is this whiskey from the 10-year-old? Now, before I get into that, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about the distillery. It's quite an interesting distillery. It's regarded as one of the prettiest, most scenic distilleries to visit in the whole of Scotland. It also borders the Highland and the Lowland region of Scotland. So what you find is you'll have the stills where the whiskey itself, where the spirit is distilled and created. That's situated in the Highlands, and then just to the south, where the whiskey is matured, it's in the Lowlands. So that's where the warehouses are. So it straddles both regions, but it's generally regarded as a Highland Scotch. And another fact about Glengoyne is the fact that they take pride in their slow distillation process, which apparently is 3 times slower than other whiskies on average. So their motto is they take time over their whiskey. They don't rush things, and that's part of their marketing spiel. So, does this translate into a good whiskey? Well, in my opinion, so far so good with the 10. But today, let's try the 12. Now, I've poured myself a whiskey just now before we started recording. This is a really, really good whiskey, I think, to go back to if you're someone who enjoys peat and smoke and are used to your whiskies being peated, as their entire range is completely unpeated. So this is another fact that they take pride in and market themselves on. And you'll find that there is no smoke in any of these whiskies. So it's a very interesting, enjoyable dram. And I'm recommending it to anybody who wants to press that reset button and to go back to something unpeated. Anyway, on the nose. Now, the nose in this whiskey is really pleasant. There's nothing off-putting about it at all. First of all, you're hit with this citrus, sort of lemon peel, I guess. There's some honey. And underneath, then you start to get this lovely toffee, this toffee apple. And if you nose it long enough, you start to get this amazing shortbread note coming through, this real malty shortbread. Now, it depends when you nose it. I find with any whiskey, depending on my nose and how it's working on the day and the time of day, I smell different things at different times. At the moment, I'm getting more fruit forward. I'm getting more of that sort of like that fruity note, the apples and some oranges, a bit of toffee. But with time, you start to get that much more substantial malt shortbread coming through, and that really, really is my favourite part of the nose on this whiskey. It's so inviting and quite dessert-like. It's very homely. And of course, there's that cinnamon spice as well. So think of a apple strudel or apple, like a toffee apple, that kind of thing, with maybe some cinnamon on. This is very much what you get from this whiskey. Now, on the taste, it has a really quite strong impact on your tongue. It's at 43%, so it's an extra 3% more than the 10, which is bottled at the standard 40 ABV. you're hit by this apple and citrus and toffee, but very soon, maybe a second after you swallow, you get this big wave or hit of spice. It does pack its own punch, so it's quite a spicy one. Then that spice fades, and then you're left with some nice fruitiness, that toffee in the background still lingering. There's quite a lot of honey in this whiskey as well. So think of toffee, honey, baked apple, and especially on the nose, this gorgeous shortbread and malt. It's a really, really pleasant one. Now, it's had an extra 2 years maturing in the casks than the 10-year-old, and this whiskey actually has been matured in 20% first fill sherry casks, which you do get a bit more of than the 10. You've also got 20% first fill bourbon and 60% second fill casks. So that first fill really does shine through in the quality of the maturation. Now, in terms of price point, you're talking around the low to mid 30s. The 10-year-old you can get, if you're really lucky, online for £24-25, but that's when it's on really good offer. Usually you're looking at the high 20s. So that's the 10, that's the 12, and they're both really good value for money. Now, based on that and based on what you pay for what you get, I do believe it is definitely worth it. I like this whiskey a lot. I would give it an 85 out of 100, which is a perfectly reasonable score. It's not the sort of whiskey that's going to blow you away, or you're not going to be like, wow, I just tried this whiskey and it's changed my life. It's just a very well made, pleasant whiskey that's designed just to taste good. It's not supposed to be a challenging whiskey. It's not going to beat you up. It's just designed to be a very pleasant highland whiskey. If you're like a fan of your sherry bombs and your peat bombs, you might find this a little bit boring for your tastes. But I recommend that everybody should have this on their bar as a basic go-to, good quality, standard highland malt. And I think this is a really good example of what highland malt can be at a very reasonable price. As I said, it is unpeated, so it's not your typical highland in terms of, most highland malts will have a little bit of peat used in the production, so you will get that slightly smoky undertone to them. But this is totally unpeated, and I'm looking forward to trying their next one up, which I believe is the 15-year-old. I strongly recommend this in general, so go out and grab yourself a bottle. It's definitely worth it. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll be back soon for my 20th review. In the meantime, please do take care of yourselves and each other. This is Jamie and his whiskey signing out. Cheers.